Welcome to the podcast that has earned recognition first in 2019 and then again in 2020 as one of the best in the market research field. This is Research Business Daily Report. And if you'd like to lend your support to our video efforts, please go to RBDR's exclusive community at the crowdfunding platform patreon.com/RBDR. I'm Bob Lederer, for more than 25 years, the respected voice in market research. Today, as we all know, is the final day of the Trump presidency. One of the most conspicuous aspects of his election 4 years ago was the strength of the Donald Trump quote-unquote brand. After his casino bankruptcies in the late 1990s, Trump lent his name to an endless variety of products, and with great success. Almost from the very start, brand Keys President Robert Passikoff was watching, and he was just about the only entity that was measuring the brand equity of Trump's name as it continued to grow. We had a conversation with Robert earlier this week. We detailed the history of the Trump brand up through the attack on the Capitol on January 6th. Now, this coverage is admittedly longer than usual, but I think you'll find it a worthwhile listen and an interesting and compelling one at that. So enjoy. You believe that the Donald Trump brand is one of the strongest that has ever existed. Explain why.
Well, I think he's one of the strongest human brands that we've ever seen. Someone that imbues things that he puts his name to with the same values that people attribute to him. There aren't many human brands out there, and he's been extraordinarily successful transferring human values or apparent human values to products and services. In terms of being able to transfer core values, things like ostentation, wealth, luxury, he was unbeatable.
Can you give us an idea in some relative term about how much bigger or stronger the Trump brand was? And this would have been pre-politics in like 2015 or before.
Human brands have to be very careful how they behave. Martha Stewart took a hit, and I was literally down at the courthouse when she turned around and said, "This has nothing to do with my brand." And the answer was, oh, everything had to do with your brand when you're a human brand. Prior to running for office, this guy was a licensing genius in terms of the brand. There wasn't anything he couldn't put his name to that probably wasn't going to sell better.
You believe now that you cannot concurrently be a consumer brand and a politician. Did you believe that at the start of Trump's political career?
The answer is yes, I did. I thought there was going to be difficulties. And the reason for that is that when you take a look at normal brands, I don't want to pick on anyone, but, CPG brands, for example, or breakfast cereal brands, when the companies have to make decisions that are politically based, they usually end up in trouble. And the reason for that is that people are buying brands on the basis of what I call category values. And if you're looking for hand cream or baby wipes or cosmetics, none of those categories really have anything to do with the values that are inherent in politics. And so the minute that you step into it, you're going to either piss people off tremendously or people are going to ignore you.
And yet, the way we hear it, Trump didn't think he was going to win in 2016, but he thought it was a tremendous, unbelievable branding opportunity.
it was going to end up being a 2-year infomercial for him. That's what he thought he was going to do. And a lot of it was geared toward, and one day I'll have my own TV show. I mean, it really didn't go beyond that. It was, I had The Apprentice, and now I'll have this, and I'll go home and sell a lot of products and make a lot of money. I mean, he never expected to win.
Now, during the campaign itself, his brand began to first take its first hits with the Hollywood Access tape and women coming forth and saying that he had violated them and that sort of thing. Is that the case?
Yes, we saw initially that the brand took a big hit when that happened. And it started to clean out the consumer products areas that he was making them a lot of money for. There were just companies themselves, retailers, all kind of turned around and said, I really don't want to be associated with this. I mean, that's one side of it. There was also the hashtag Me Too and the hashtag grab your wallet campaigns against these people. And anyone, I think, in our business knows that, you only need 100 angry phone calls to home office before someone says, we better examine the situation. Well, okay, that's what happened. Retailers dropped the brand, no more suits, no more ties, no more shoes, no more jewelry, no more watches. I mean, all of that, it didn't disappear overnight, but it disappeared over the time that he was running for office. And shortly, even after he won, which one would have assumed would have made him the most powerful brand in the world, being associated with the most powerful man in the world, people let the licenses and contracts just run out. They didn't want to be associated with the problems. It was just too much. And he was losing equity as well. I was walking through Macy's one day, and I noticed there were these shirts on the table that both my sons had asked about, particular pattern or collar or something. And I went over, and they were Trump brand shirts, and they seemed to be of very high quality, which there's a certain bit of me that went, that's, okay, that's nice to see. He put his name on it. And I bought the shirts for my sons and gave it to them. And then when he was running, and then when he won, and being both young and liberal, they just despised Trump. And I said something about, you're wearing the shirt. My youngest son had cut the label out of the shirt. So a lot of people, if you stop and think that this guy was being extraordinarily successful, essentially selling labels. A lot of people don't realize that. He wasn't in the ice cream business or vodka business. Someone gave him $2 million or $3 million to put his name on the label, and then he got a percentage of sales. It didn't really matter if there weren't any sales, because he still had those millions of dollars for licensing the name. But a lot of that disappeared. We used to have 15 or 16 sectors that we looked at, and then those all disappeared. Most of the consumer products area just went away. You couldn't find respondents who had purchased products like that anymore. But what we had was that what still existed was country clubs and golf clubs. That was one section. Real estate, generally, meaning his buildings with the name on them. Hotels was the third, and then TV and entertainment was the fourth category. Those were all that pretty much remain to be measured. And we've measured them, and what they've done over time is they've eroded. Used to be able to talk about numbers of an increase in equity, a boost to the brand, to the product by putting the name on it, upwards of 50%. I mean, that's incredible. When you think about it, it's absolutely incredible to think that the same product with this name on it now appears to be worth 50% more than it was before. All those numbers eroded. All those numbers dropped. Every time there was some sort of social controversy, not so much political, but it's like the very fine people on both sides, man, everything took a hit. Now, it's interesting because I think it does correlate, not only with behavior, but with income. So you had people, so golf clubs and country clubs didn't take the hit as soon as everything else. I would just remind you, talking about the value of the brand, that the moment that he was elected, the fee for joining Mar-a-Lago went from 100,000 to 200,000. Buildings, real estate took a hit. I mean, you literally had people who wanted to peel the name off the building, went to court to be able to take the name off the building. The hotels generally took a hit. Someday there'll be an interesting case study about the hotel in Washington and how now they're desperate to sell it. Again, because it has lost its political lure, not its consumer lure. And then the one that went up, that kept going up, kept going up a little bit, but didn't take the hit the way it had, was TV and entertainment. I don't know, this is me. This is not data, this is me, but every time I see the guy, I'd watch the guy on TV, the thought of bread and circuses, the phrase ran through my mind. And it's interesting to see that historically, when you look at where the money came from, it came from The Apprentice. What he was actually making was coming from The Apprentice, that he was losing money everywhere else. But that took a turn. I mean, as of last week, the numbers, the TV and entertainment numbers were down by 29%. They literally took a hit. They had been at a 49% high as a boost, as added value boost, and down at 20 and change right now. If you look at January 2020, the TV entertainment category was about 43%. If you look at October of 2020, that number was at 49%. If you look at last week, 2021, it was at 21%. So something's going on. Now, we even see that We even see the drop, again, not as much as we do with Democrats or independents, but we even see a drop in that for Republicans.
This is purely speculative, but is his presence, his former presence on Twitter, was that a positive for his brand?
For his political brand, sure, yes. I mean, again, I think the answer is yes. I mean, you and I have talked. Misinformation is down 73% on everything, since he shut up. I mean, so the answer is yes. The only category that I have any real sense of people, consumers, a broad range of consumers, is TV and entertainment anymore, because the rest of it still resonates. Even though the numbers are down, it still seems to resonate with the fact that if you have to have money to go buy $1 million apartment. You have to have money to be able to go and stay at a hotel that's $450, $500 a night. You certainly have to have money to be able to join a golf club. So the fact that those numbers are so low as well is a real indicator in terms of the brand and clothing. I mean, it's just not worth very much from a consumer perspective anymore. Politically, different story perhaps.
Would you agree that it's going to be very difficult for him to untangle the political from the consumer side, even when he's out of office?
I think it's virtually impossible at this point. I just don't think the values are so contrary to one another. On the one hand, you can't be a man of the people and fighting for the little guy when you live in $100 million mansion, and all you're talking about is money. I mean, the balloon top, on the whole concept of, hey, there's a swamp in Washington. The politicians don't really do anything for you guys. I'm a businessman. I'm a successful businessman. I mean, everything to the contrary, but it's one of these, most people didn't bother to look.
Lest anybody think that you have a personal animus towards Trump, I'd like to close this with your very personal story about the very early research that you did on one Donald John Trump and the reaction you got.
I want to point out that Donald Trump thinks very well of me. Years ago, I wrote a 2-page spread article in Advertising Week, which, for the folks out there that don't know, was the Monday morning Bible of the advertising business. And I was writing, when we created the nomenclature for human brands, I was writing about Martha Stewart, Tiger Woods, and Donald Trump. And I said at the time that Trump was one of the most powerful, most successful human brands that was out there, that this was a guy who, whatever he put his name to, was going to increase positive consumer behavior and sales. And there you go, which is what a brand is supposed to do. The day after the article ran, following Tuesday, a messenger came to the office with an envelope, and it was from the Trump Organization. And I opened it up, and it was a letter from Donald Trump with the same scrawly little handwriting that we've seen for the past 4 years on proclamations and such. And it was telling me what a great guy I was, that I was the best brand guy in the business, and that he appreciated what I had to say about it. And I put it was a nice thing to get from someone, and I put the letter in a folder. And when we were moving offices a number of years ago, we were going through real files, and these were paper files, and I found the letter. And I went, oh, okay. I mean, why not? It's a compliment. And I took it home. Well, then he got elected, and my sons were at dinner one night, and they were just going nuts about him. And I said, he thinks well of me. Let me show you this. And both of them went, burn it, burn it. I was like, no, I'm not going to burn it. I'm going to put it aside. And I was thinking I should have gone into the files here and pulled it out to show you, but it's hand to God that this is the truth. So I don't know whether that tars me with the same bad brand brush or not, but that's the real story.
That wraps up today's Research Business Daily Report. The editorial goal of every RBDR video report is the presentation of news insights and commentary that you won't find anywhere else, like what we did today about the Trump brand. And we've got no doubt that you'll find that to be the case when you check in with us regularly. And as your appreciation for what we are presenting hopefully grows, that will perhaps allow you to consider becoming an RBDR Patreon supporter, as did Fader Focus's Susan Fader, who became an RBDR viewer last year, and she got the itch to make a contribution as last year ended and this year began. Thanks, Susan. Now you can do the same at patreon.com/RBDR. So have a great research day. Please join us again tomorrow. We'll be looking for you. And in these dangerous times, stay safe.